to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less. You really flip your lid. From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is.
Gee whiz!
I don't want to grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys. Oh boy, I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
There is truth in advertising, yes I swear. Got new Nikes on my feet and Vidal Sassoon in my hair. I can sure use a Budweiser Fruit of the Loom underwear. There is truth in advertising, I swear. Why would they lie to me when they love what they sell? Plus we all know that the liars have a special fire in hell. On the television, radio, and in the magazines, the advertising gods perpetuate the American dream. Advertising, let it be, let it be. Now I know that I don't need to buy everything they try to sell me, but so easily divided is a fool and his money. There is truth in advertising, let it be. Why would they lie to me when they love what they sell? Plus we all know that the liars got a special fire in hell. On the television, radio, and in the magazines, the advertising gods perpetuate the American dream.
If you could think of one mascot that encapsulated childhood of the 80s and 90s, you'd likely think of Geoffrey Giraffe, which is strange, considering how little a presence he actually had. Formerly known as Dr. Giraffe, because everything has to be a joke, he made his public debut in the 1950s in print advertisements for Children's Bargain Town, a predecessor of Toys R Us, and sadly not the name of a child-run society in a Mad Max movie. In fact, Geoffrey coined the phrase Toys R Us, which paved the way for the future of the company. In the 1960s, when Children's Bargain Town switched over to Toys R Us, and went from what sounded like a homeless child camp to something much more family-friendly, Dr. Giraffe was officially renamed Geoffrey and was crowned the spokesanimal for the company. Oddly enough, despite being around for over 50 years, his star-spotted iteration didn't become finalized until November 2007. He was even eventually given a wife and 2 children. He and his company contribute to the annual toy-giving charity Toys for Tots Foundation every holiday season. In 2017, the company sponsored the live camera broadcast for the then-pregnant April the Giraffe, whom I can only assume is his wife. He could be seen in numerous commercials in cartoon fashion, live action, and eventually CGI, as with most mascots. When Toys R Us went bankrupt in 2018 and liquidated most of its assets, Geoffrey Giraffe was also seemingly out of a job. In fact, a photo of him holding a suitcase and standing in an empty Toys R Us store captioned, "I guess everyone's grown up now," went viral and broke hearts within minutes, as it rightfully should have, because that's goddamn depressing.
$14.99. Bye. I'm gonna miss you. $39.99. I'm gonna miss you too.
Boy, this 2-day sale is gonna be rough on Geoffrey. Can we open the store now?
I just need a minute.
But then the story of Geoffrey Giraffe kind of takes a weird turn. Hear me out. According to an article from USA Today, when Toys R Us was cleaning house, they tried to find someone to buy Geoffrey. And I don't necessarily mean the mascot himself, I mean a physical version of Geoffrey Giraffe. See, Toys R Us's corporate headquarters was in Wayne, New Jersey, and they had a real life-size statue of Geoffrey Giraffe, who was about as tall as a real male giraffe. Because of his size and the cost associated with transportation and installation, the company struggled to find someone to buy him, as seemingly no one was interested. But then, the Toys R Us liquidation advisor, a man named Joseph Malfitano out of Boulder, Colorado, bought the giraffe and paid $10,000 to have him packed and shipped 50 miles to Bristol Myers Squibb Children's Hospital at the Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital.
Geoffrey the Giraffe has a new home. but his mission of bringing smiles to faces of children remains the same.
One of the most interesting facts I dug up was that Geoffrey's original name was Dr. G. Raffe, R-A-F-F-E. So Geoffrey used to be a doctor, and I thought it was fitting and perhaps a little bit ironic that Dr. Giraffe has moved to a hospital in this next stage of his career.
When Toys R Us fell into bankruptcy, the future of the company's mascot became uncertain. Thanks to the generosity of the company's liquidation advisor, Joseph Malfitano, and RWJ Barnabas Health board member, Ken Rosen, the 16-foot, 550-pound statue has been installed in the lobby of the Bristol-Myers Squibb Children's Hospital at Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital.
For me, it was important just because I have a son who's a type 1 diabetic, and when he goes to the hospital, it's kind of a traumatic experience, and having something like this in the front door would seriously cheer kids up.
I simply thought it might be pretty cool for a kid, to have their eyes pop wide open when they come into the hospital, on what otherwise might be a sad occasion, and have a little cheer.
Formerly located at the Toys R Us headquarters in Wayne, Geoffrey will now greet patients and families as they enter the New Brunswick Children's Hospital.
To be able to provide the children that come into this hospital with a smile when they're going through these traumatic times is so important. And I think for the parents to see their children with a smile on their face leaves them with some sigh of relief.
So from this day forward, Geoffrey stands tall in our lobby to encourage our smallest patients to smile when they enter our facilities, to forget momentarily the ailments that brought them here, to set aside their fears, and to remind them that there are better times, fun times ahead.
Upon hearing of his plan, Ken Rosen agreed to donate an additional $6,000 to install the statue in the lobby of the Children's Hospital. They even threw a party commemorating the event. That's where the statue of Geoffrey Giraffe now sits. He's in the lobby of a children's hospital, bringing smiles and hope to any sick child who might see him even briefly. Given that his name used to be Dr. Giraffe, this seems almost too fitting. But now he can sit and watch over kids like he's always done, making sure that they grow up. That's kind of beautiful in a way, isn't it? There's something sort of poetic about the whole thing, isn't there? And of course, Toys R Us, like most businesses, refuses to stay dead. A company called Geoffrey LLC was formed shortly after the bankruptcy of Toys R Us in an attempt to bring the store and its beloved mascot back to the public eye. Hell, even the San Antonio Zoo offered to give Geoffrey a job, making him an ambassador for giraffe conservation. What that even means or how it would work is beyond me, but that is not the point. The point is that everyone cared. Geoffrey Giraffe's reach extended far past your childhood. He's affecting adults, likely adults who grew up with him, but still. Adults who remember their beloved giraffe friend at the toy store and are now in positions of power themselves and willing to use said power to save their beloved giraffe friend. That's amazing. It's just another example of how much of a cultural touchstone a mascot can really become if we allow them to. Toys R Us, a place that was made for children, goes out of business, and almost immediately everyone tries to find a way to somehow save its mascot. At the same time, I hear you youngsters crying out, saying how it's nothing more than an example of the perils of capitalism, getting us to care about a mascot so much that we somehow save a once billion-dollar corporation from crashing and burning, giving them even more power. While I see the arguments, and there are some valid points, I don't personally agree. A mascot, much as they may be portrayed that way, are much more than just their company. They're part of an artist. They came from someone who really believed in the integrity of the character enough to think that they could do good. Geoffrey Giraffe did good in the world. And even his statue is doing good in the world, brightening up sick children. It's easy to be cynical, especially about our corporate empires, but at the end of the day, I'd rather remember Geoffrey Giraffe as a happy, fun-loving mascot who only wanted children to have a good time, and not as a sinister billionaire twirling his bushy mustache as he watched countless millions of parents shell out cold, hard-earned cash for his cheap wares. Geoffrey Giraffe wanted us all to be Toys R Us kids, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of anything. We all belonged at Toys R Us, with Geoffrey Giraffe. So it only makes sense to, in the end, want to save something that made us once feel so special.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up.
I'm a Toys R Us kid.
They got the best for so much less.
You'll really flip your lid.
Some bikes too, trains too, video games. It's the biggest toy store there is. Gee whiz. I don't want to grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid.
Once a Toys R Us kid?
Always a Toys R Us kid.